On this episode of Grow, we're featuring Gangstas to Growers, a program focused on empowering at-risk youth and those formerly incarcerated through agricultural, employment, and entrepreneurship.
What I noticed in our neighborhood is that we have a lot of young people that don't have a lot to do because of mistakes that they've made in their past when they were children, teenagers, and got locked up, and either have felony records because of theft. Just a lot of situations they got in trouble for that were surrounded around money and the pursuit of money. And they would get odd jobs here and there, but you know, they would always get found out and go back to doing what they did to survive.
According to the Georgia Council on Criminal Justice Reform, about 30% of adults recommit crimes within 3 years of being released from prison. That number more than doubles for juveniles. About 65% of children released from the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice Detention go on to commit more offenses. Those numbers did not sit well with founder Abiodun Henderson. She says even though they were doing what they thought was needed to survive, the lack of information was causing more harm.
A lot of things happened in our community that shifted the dynamic, where knowledge wasn't being passed on from the elders to the newest generation. A lot of folks don't know how to feed themselves correctly. They're not getting the correct nutrition.
What I believe in is going back to the way of our ancestors, the way our ancestors used to live. They used to grow, they used to commune together, they used to fellowship, they used to eat together, and that's what I'm trying to promote. I'm trying to promote community, trying to promote that love and that family of community.
We need to bring that back. And the young people need a trade, they need to know how to feed themselves and put some money in their pockets. So that's what inspired me to create the program.
The program pairs trainees and local farmers through Southwest Atlanta growers and West Georgia farmers cooperatives. The participants earn $12.50 an hour. They must participate in classes like yoga, political education, financial literacy, environmental responsibility, health and nutritional cooking classes, and group therapy sessions.
A lot of folks are going through a lot of stress because of that war on drugs. It did a lot. It fractured a lot of families. So we need to heal.
Participants learn healing practices through yoga. After the relaxation techniques are taught, it's time to go to the farm.
Then we work on farms throughout local Atlanta and rural Georgia. And then in the afternoon throughout the week, we do political education so that they're informed how local government works, so that they can, if they're eligible, they can vote, or they can at least advocate for themselves at city council and at the Capitol, at the Dome. We have group therapy so they can heal, nutritional cooking, for what I said before, so they can know how to feed their bodies.
Henderson wanted to give at-risk youth, gang members, and formerly incarcerated individuals the skills to participate in a legitimate economy. They get that opportunity by learning how to market products they make, like Sweet Soul hot sauce.
We're learning how to grow healthy plants. We're also learning how to make hot sauce, which is a very great experience because most people don't know how to make hot sauce. And I learned like a year ago, and it's a great experience, and she's teaching us how to market, go out and sell your products. So it's a lot of learning. We learn about business classes, like how to open up our own business.
Participants get a chance to sell the spicy concoction at local farmers markets.
Our goal is to have a large worker-owned cooperative where we're making hot sauce and other items out of the lavender and turmeric. And then maybe, you know, there's the idea of growing hemp, right? Like the airlines, they use hemp in their airplane seats, you know? There's hemp milk. You can make toilet tissue, paper towels, you know, all these shoes. You can make so many things out of hemp. And we would love to bring back manufacturing because that's what was creating successful families in the 60s for us, working in factories and working with your hands and making a good wage. So we want to bring back that type of manufacturing for folks that may not, everybody's not going to go to school. We need people to make things, and they need to be paid a good wage so that they can start a family and live a good life. Just opening their eyes, and really when they realize how empowered they can be, when they realize that so many people have either volunteered their time or committed their time to educating them, that like, oh my goodness, wow, we're doing this.
I actually heard about the program through one of my friends, and it intrigued me because of the name, actually, Gangstas Growers. I actually wanted to learn something new.
Henderson says recruitment by friends is the best way to reach them.
It's really to go after groups of friends and then recruit their friends and then their friends and then their friends. And now we're actually changing the fabric of our neighborhoods because the young people now all have the same knowledge, same confidence, self-esteem in themselves and love for themselves. So now they want to do better.
Just about 2 years ago, I was introduced to Gangstas Growers from a friend of mine. Miss Abby had came to the house. She told us that she had a grant for the program to start it up at first, and she wanted to give it a try with the young people, and I was interested, so I joined the program. We're basically going to be working on urban farms, learning to grow where we are, so that we won't have to always go to the grocery store and buy those things.
That fulfills me the most. When the first day came, one of our trainees, Deshaun, he was like, what? I get paid to do yoga, to learn how to do yoga? What? I get paid to learn how to do, he was like, oh man, and then I can, I can get this skill and I can connect with these farmers and all right, man, I'm down for this, Man, I need it, man, what, this herb, like today, for instance, to learn that some of these herbs can repair brain function, and these herbs, some of them were like, yo, I need this. I need it, man. I eat so much trash. And them coming to the realization that the way they live their lives may not be the best way to live. That's the most fulfilling part. Because now we're creating change, and now we can break cycles.
We actually learning how to farm, we learning the difference. We learning the different types of vegetables, fruits, how to grow different stuff, what temperatures to grow stuff at, when good time is, like how to make compost, the right type of soils, like how to be healthy without relying on somebody else.
Self-sufficiency is the main focus of the Gangstas to Growers program.
A key factor in making this program work is that we pay the youth or the young adults. During the pilot of the program, I paid $15 an hour. It was just a part-time, pilot. And now with the full program, we pay $12.50 an hour. It's a 40-hour work week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, every day for a 3-month-long period. We have to put money in their pocket while we're educating them and teaching them a trade. We need to bring back trade schools. And then after they complete the program, we have a partnership with Workforce Development, which is now called WorkSource, with the City of Atlanta. And through that partnership, they pay our young people their stipend of $12.50 an hour. And then also through them, we can place them at a farm or a job as long as it's 40 hours a week, and they'll pay 75% of that $12.50. So that gives cheap labor to these businesses so that they can build as they need to, so that they can eventually employ more people.
Henderson says social and economic challenges have contributed to the feeling of hopelessness over the past 5 decades.
In the 60s, we had two-parent households, 82% two-parent households in the Black community. We actually had a higher marriage rate than our white counterparts at the time, and that's because we were working great factory jobs. We had railroad jobs. We just had higher paying jobs, and we were buying homes in mass all over the country, changing the face of neighborhoods. And what we learned is that, there was 50,000 factories that closed in a 10-year period in the 60s and 70s. That put so many people out of work, Black folks, white folks, a lot of folks were put out of work, and those jobs weren't replaced in a way, where now a man can provide for his family with one job. And the whole fabric changed. And in our community, with leaders being killed, there was a massive loss of hope. When when folks lose jobs, have no jobs. There's also leaders being killed at the same time. Folks are coming back from the Vietnam War, hooked on drugs as well. And then that just eased us into the crack era, into the 80s, which led to the war on drugs, where now you have tons of folks going to prison, going to jail. Folks are self-medicating with all these different drugs, not taking care of their children as they would have if they were healthy and able-bodied and, you know, their communities were vibrant. And so we're trying to now heal from that. We see in the youth there's a lot of anger, there's a lot of loss of hope, they have no ability to dream, and they have no money in their pocket. So we're just trying to fix all that as soon as possible, as fast as possible, because if we don't, these babies are going to be carrying grenades after a while, you know, because all the anger and the hurt and the pain that they have and the lack of opportunities that they have, you know, they're really going to self-destruct, and we can't allow that. We can't let a whole generation go.
When Grow returns,
very excited to have young men of Gangstas growers. They're going to come here and they're going to learn how to identify herbs, how to identify seeds. We're going to cultivate the ground, the soil. We're going to amend the soil in preparations for planting for the fall.
a tour of the Garden of Second Chances with Brother Holmes. Stay with us.
The reason why I say brother is because in this thing, community, in the community, everybody was family, regardless if you was blood related or not. So when I call myself brother, I'm initiating that love of community and family.
It's that love Brother Holmes has for his fellow man that drives his desire to share his knowledge of farming.
Well, the first thing we're going to do, I'm very excited. Anybody who new comes to the garden, I like them to have a tour. So I tour them around the garden. Everything that's placed on the garden or grew on the garden is for a specific reason. So that is education in itself for the placement of the herbs and fruits. So we'll start usually in the front. So we have plenty of things. What I'm going to have the kids do, what I always encourage everybody to do, is to touch the plant, is to smell the plant, so they can see what properties they have. This is anise hyssop. This is smells delicious. It's like a licorice kind of scent, and you put it in teas, and it's very soothing. We have lemon balm, so I'll have them crush the leaves up, smell it, has a nice refreshing lemon flavor. Explains the uses for lemon balm, and we'll just do that all along the garden as we tour. This is a basil. This is a sweet basil plant. So what I'm gonna have the kids do, like I said, I encourage everybody to touch, to feel, to smell the plants. So I have them smell the plants. This doesn't really have a smell right now because it's dried up. What I'm gonna have them do is kind of break these dried flowers up. And when you break the dried flowers up, it's actually the seeds. And these seeds can be replanted to make more lemon, to make more basil. So things like this we're gonna be doing all around the tour. These marigolds, I have everybody pluck a marigold flower, breaking in the middle, and kind of show them, you know, where the seeds are, how to identify seeds and the plants, vegetables, flowers, if they want to plant them themselves. Now I want to take a little walk back, and then back, I would show how I just repurpose materials that I find on the roads, that I find in dumpsters, and I create things from them. So to also inspire and be an example to the community that you don't need a lot of space. You don't need a lot of money. You don't have to buy a lot of things that you see in the store to create your own self. When you're growing in an urban community, as East Point, Georgia, or anywhere in the country, you have to think outside of the box, and you have to just use your imagination, and that's the fun part about it. You get to try things, you get to create. So that's what I do, and that's what I like to teach the community. And we can come take a walk. This is okra. Most people cook okra. I personally don't like okra cooked because it's extremely slimy. But what I found that raw okra is actually very delicious. And this is how I eat all my okra, raw, because I don't like the slimy texture of it when it's cooked. So if you want to try any okra, this is red okra variety, by the way. A lot of people in the community, they recognize the green okra, but not the red okra. So this is something that kind of draws an interest in what some people will call an ornamental okra, because it is red and it's more pretty and it looks like a flower. What I would call brown or black gold. And this is actually semi-composted horse manure mixed in with wood shavings. I get from a local horse stable that's maybe about 20 minutes away. And even in Miami, Florida, even in large cities, if you go on Craigslist and research free horse manure, you'd be surprised how close to the city you can find a horse stable who would give this stuff away for free. I pay $15 for them to load this bed, but the amount of soil that I would have to pay for this amount would be 10 times, even more, about 20 times that. This is maybe $150 worth of soil that I'm getting for $15. And this is filled with micronutrients, beneficial bacteria. This is just, when you mix this with clay soil, it just really amends that and just really just fills the soil with nutrients and life. So what a lot of people have trouble, or they may say they don't have a green thumb, if you grow in good soil, then the better the immune system is of the plant. So the plant can resist pests. The plant can resist disease. And it's a funny thing, when I first started pulling up with this horse manure, the kids would come by and I was a joke. I was a joke. Everybody come back, oh, he's growing horse manure. And everybody would laugh and joke. And I'll laugh too, because it does have a strong stench to it. But after I was using this on the garden and producing 20, 25 pound watermelons and producing okras with stalks that's, you know, thick enough than my arm and flowers, then everybody stopped the laughing. And it was more of a respect. It was more of, okay, this is what farmers do. So that being an example in this community, and that's why also We Grow Community, our initiative is to be an example by growing in the community, and by using these practices, it would make the community adapted, and this would be more of a norm to them. So they would understand that, yes, that if you really want to grow the best, that you use manure, that you would repurpose this instead of throwing this away. It would change the way you just look at certain things. So this, to me, this is everything. Without this, I won't be able to grow what I'm growing. Our ground cherries, because when they mature and get ripe, they fall to the ground. And one thing I love about these cherries is that it has like a protective layer or covering on it, so pests do not get to it, and it stays actually, it keeps very well for a long period of time. And they're just, when they're yellow, that's when they're fully ripe. And they're just delicious. It's like a tropical flavor. It has a little bit of tomato, a little bit of pineapple, a little bit of tropical taste to it. So this is a hit amongst children as well. When they try it one time, they just keep coming back for it. And this is called ground cherries.
Brother Holmes's garden piques the interest of the neighborhood kids, who, if not for him, would never see a garden.
I had people come to me specifically in this community and tell me, I have never seen this before. I have never seen anybody grow a garden before, especially like on this scale with so many different varieties of things. They really get curious, so they'll ask questions and they'll come in the garden, and when I offer them something, it's foreign to them. To them, what they have learned to that point is that you get food from the grocery store. And anything before that looks to be like, you know, they have it's kind of out of a touch from where you're actually getting your food from. So when I offer them a sweet bell pepper, they're afraid to taste it because they're used to how bell peppers taste in the store. They don't know that a sweet bell pepper grown organically tastes as sweet as an apple. When I give them cherries, ground cherries, they're kind of reluctant because they never picked something straight off the tree and ate it. It was always you go to the store and get it. So for me personally, that what kind of initiated this movement was to educate my community about the ways of their ancestors, the way how we have been cultivating the soil and growing fruits for centuries.
When Grow returns, more on the participants in the Gangstas to Growers program and the importance of growing, food, and in life. Henderson, founder of Gangstas to Growers, says the grassroots organization grew out of a need to give at-risk youth and the formerly incarcerated hope.
I had a lot of troubles, actually. By the time I was 15, I had been shot and stabbed. I mean, I've been incarcerated a few times. I mean, I did a lot of dirt in my life, but I try and change that. I mean, like, I actually try and change it.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time when I had, like, a year after I was in the program, because this was like last year, like the end of last year. Yeah, and Miss Abby, she came and she immediately got me out. And it was a good thing because I didn't want to sit in there. And I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I didn't do anything. It was just I was in the house and it ended up getting busted.
8 of them have been formerly incarcerated. We've bailed 4 of them out of jail recently, very recently. A lot of them have been shot. One of them has been shot in the head. The other one's going through 8 hours of physical therapy every other week because he's been shot, been stabbed. You know, there's sexual trauma, all these different things. And actually 2 of them come from Covenant House. We have a partnership with Covenant House, the homeless youth shelter for 18 to 21-year-olds here in Atlanta, and 2 of them come from there. So we even have homeless youth. You know, a lot of them are living with relatives, you know, wherever they can live, and they're not financially stable. And a lot of them, I mean, we just started a couple of days ago with this new group, and a lot of them haven't heard some of the knowledge that we're giving them about their own history, about opportunities, about this yoga, you know, just being able to stretch every day and have different teachers. So, like, for instance, yesterday we had a young lady, Zara, that was our educator. Then today it was the elder, Abashaka. So now the young men can see themselves in this elder, you know, being able to do all these moves. But the youth themselves, you know, I have 2 young ladies that are in the program. One is like the mama of the program, the other one's like the big sister, and the rest are young men, 8 young men. And like I said, they've been through a lot, more than any child, teenager, young adult should ever have to go through or ever have to see. So we're really working with trying to repair the damage that's been done and making them whole, and so that they can join society as fully functioning citizens of America.
That goal is being reached by each seed that's not only planted in the ground, but planted in the lives of the Gangstas to Growers program.
My heart's filled with joy, to be honest. To see the youth come out and, get their hands dirty, participate in agriculture, do things that their ancestors was doing. It really fills me with joy. They did a great job in working together, smiling together. And that's also which really excited me, was seeing them work together as part of a team. So that's one thing I definitely promote, is doing things together, a part of the team, part of the community.
He don't have much, so he taught us how we can take things from the store or things that we find and bring it to the house just to grow out of. So that was a great thing to learn.
I'm a farmer, so I plant seeds. That's what I do. And with the young children coming, or anybody coming, the young folk, that's what I do, is plant seeds to let them know that there's another alternative of doing things, of spending your time, of making a living. So definitely, I think they enjoyed the commune with each other. They enjoyed tasting the fruits, tomatoes fresh on the vine. So I definitely think that it made an impact. A lot of the young people in the program, Gangstas to Growers, come in what they call hoods, or come in, low income, poverty-stricken areas and neighborhoods. So for them to even be open-minded to do something like this, to me, for real, shows a lot and tells a lot, and says that if your mind is open enough to receive and you plant seeds, then eventually it will grow. So I do believe that it made a difference, that something did sink in, and if it didn't sink in immediately, it will sink in eventually.
Thanks for watching. Go to aibtv.com/donate to support programming like this. All contributions are tax deductible.